In this video, we'll be looking at long division of polynomials. Now, if the denominator or the divisor is linear, like say x plus 2, or say x minus 2, x plus 5, or something like that, you can use an abbreviated form of long division, which is called synthetic division. Here, we're going to be looking at long division. Something like number 2, for example, can't be done by synthetic division. So that has to be done by long division, and so on. The procedure will be very similar to division of whole numbers. As a basic example, if you have, say, 7 divided by 2, 2 goes into 7 3 times. 7, of course, is the dividend. 2 is the divisor. And at this point, 3 is the partial quotient. So once we do this first division here, we multiply 3 times 2, we get 6. Subtract, we get 1. And we can call the 1 the remainder. So the quotient is 3. The remainder is 1. We can say the answer is 3, remainder 1. Sometimes this will be written as 3 and 1/2, which is the same thing. Can be written as 3 plus 1/2, which of course will give us what we start off with, 7/2. So what you want to start off with, you want the dividend, or in this case the numerator. This is an indicated division. When you write it this way, we have 4x to the third minus 3x squared plus x plus 1 over x plus 2. That means the top polynomial is divided by the bottom polynomial. So what we want is we want the dividend in descending powers. So we've got x to the third, x to the second, x to the first, and then we have a constant. If we have any missing terms, we're going to fill it in with a 0. In this case, we don't. We have a power of 3, a power of 2, a power of 1, and then the constant. The divisor or the denominator does not have to be filled in. Whatever it is, x plus 2, x minus 1, whatever, you can leave it this way. And then we do the long division here. So I have them set up here just to save a little bit of time. So for the first one, we said there was no missing terms in the dividend. So there you have it. You have your divisor there, x plus 2. So then basically it's going to be the first term of the dividend divided by the first term of the divisor. So it's 4x to the third divided by x. So you can do this way. 4x to the third divided by x. And you can see here, this is going to be reduced from x to the third to x squared. And then put it in the appropriate place just to make it easier here. So this would be 4x squared here. And then we multiply the partial quotient times the divisor. So it's going to be 4x squared times the x. It'll give me 4x to the third. And then multiply times the 2. So it's a partial quotient times the divisor. So this will give me a plus 2 here, 4x to the third. Or to the second, I should say. And then you subtract here. Now you can put parentheses and put a minus here, and just remember to change your signs. But you're subtracting these terms here. So the 4x to the third here becomes a minus 4x to the third and 4x to the third. That's 0. I don't have to put it in there. That's going to cancel out. And then I have a minus 3x squared. And this is an 8 here. And then you subtract, that becomes a minus 3, and minus 8 is minus 11. X squared. And then I bring the next one down. It's like you're subtracting 0 from x. So x minus 0 still gives me the x. And then we proceed. Divide the x into the minus 11, x squared. And this will be a minus 11, x. And then we multiply again times the divisor. So minus 11 x times x gives me a minus 11 x squared. Then minus 11x times 2 is a minus 22x. Then we subtract. So these signs change. Minus 11x squared and a plus 11x squared. Those always cancel. These are always going to cancel the first terms here. And then x minus a 22, x minus a minus 22x, give me a plus 23x. And then we bring the 1 down. You're subtracting 0 from 1, so this is going to be a 1 here. And then repeat the procedure. Now you're going to continue doing this until the degree of the remainder is less than the degree of the divisor. This has degree 1, this has degree 1. It's not less yet. So I can go another time. So x into 23x is a plus 23. And then I go 23 times the divisor would give me a 23x here plus 23 times the 2. That'll give me a 46. We subtract. Notice again, 23x, they subtract. Give me 0 here. And I subtract the 46, so it becomes a 1 minus 46. 1 and a minus 46 is a minus 45. So we can say it this way. We can say the answer to this is 4x squared minus 11x plus 23. This is the remainder. Minus 45 is the remainder. Or I can give the answer this way. 4x squared minus 11x plus 23, and then it's plus whatever the remainder is, in this case minus 45, over the divisor. This is the more formal method to give. You give your quotient, 4x squared minus 11x plus 23, plus, and then the remainder, in this case negative 45, is over the divisor. And this is the more formal way to give the answer. Okay, in the second one, we're dividing by x squared plus 2. And notice there we didn't have an x cubed, so I filled it in here 0, x to the third, and then a minus 3x squared plus x plus 1. So we divide x squared into 5x to the fourth. And it gives me a 5x squared. So let's put it over here to line it up. X squared into 5x squared. Cancels 2 factors of x squared, of x to the fourth. So this gives me with a 5x squared here. And then we might multiply times the divisor. So 5x squared times x squared gives me a 5x to the fourth. And then 5x squared times 2 is a plus 10x squared. So let's put it over there with the like term, 10x squared. Then we're going to subtract here. Notice the first terms always cancel out. 5x to the fourth, subtract 5x to the fourth, that goes to 0. This is just going to be 0 here, so we can leave that blank. And then here's a minus 3. And then remember, this is subtract 10x squared. So we have minus 10x squared and minus 3 is a minus 13x squared. Then we can just bring the other ones down because this is going to be x subtract 0. 1 subtract 0 here. So we just put this as a plus x plus 1. And then we repeat it. Notice the degree of the remainder here is x squared, and it's x squared over here. So we can go again. Divide x squared into minus 13x squared is a minus 13. Multiply that partial quotient times the remainder again. So minus 13 times x squared is a minus 13x squared. Minus 13 times the 2 is a minus 26. So now a minus 13x squared minus a minus 13x squared, double negative, so those cancel out. Here it's just 0 from x, it's going to be x. And then 1 subtract a minus 26, that's 1 plus 26, so this is plus 27. So you can answer this as Again, give the quotient 5x squared minus 13, and the remainder is x plus 27. Notice the degree of the remainder is 1. The degree of the divisor is 2. So now it's less than the degree of the divisor. So we can stop right there. So again, the answer can be given this way. 5x squared minus 13 is the quotient. Remainder is x plus 27. Or I can just say it's this at 5x squared minus 13 plus the remainder, x plus 27, over x squared plus 2. Again, x plus 27 over x squared plus 2 is added to the quotient. And that's your final answer for that one. Now for number 3, it was x cubed minus 27. So it didn't have an x squared term, it didn't have an x term, that's why I have the 0x squared plus 0x. It's in descending powers, and then I have the divisor is always in descending powers also, so it's x divided into x cubed. I'll put it under, above this one here, because I get x squared. And then I multiply, x squared times x to the third. Then x squared times a minus 3 is a minus 3. X squared. And then I subtract. So x cubed subtract x cubed cancels 0 x squared here. So it's 0 subtract 0 x squared subtract a minus 3 x squared makes it a plus here. Then just bring the other ones down. And then repeat. X goes into 3x squared plus 3x. And then we multiply. 3x times x, 3x squared. 3x times a minus 3 is a minus 9. X. And then we subtract. 3x squared subtract 3x squared. Those first terms always cancel out. Then it's 0x subtract a minus 9x makes that minus 9 positive, so it's just a 9 here. 9x. And then 0 from minus 27 is minus 27. Again, degree 1 here for the remainder, degree 1, so we can go again. X goes into 9x, the x cancels out, I get a plus 9. I multiply, 9 times x is 9x. 9 times a minus 3 is a minus 27. We subtract here, 9x minus 9x cancels to 0, minus 27, subtract the minus 9, 20, minus 27 is 0. So the remainder is 0. So that just tells me that x minus 3 is actually a divisor or a factor of the dividend, x cubed minus 27. So we can just give the answer this way. Say it's x squared plus 3x, x squared plus 3x plus 9. You can say the remainder is 0, but this is the main thing right there. Go to the next one now. So now for this one here, we had 3x to the fifth. It did not have an x to the fourth term, so that's why I have a 0x to the fourth. Didn't have an x to the third term, that's why I have a 0 here. And then it went down to minus x squared plus x minus 2. So we do the division here. So we divide the first term of the divisor into the first term of the dividend. So 3x cubed into 3x to the fifth. The 3's cancel out here. And I get an x squared, and I'll put this one over here. And then we multiply. X squared times 3x to the third is 3x to the fifth. X squared times the minus 1 is minus x squared. I'll put that over here. So we get like terms under like terms. And then we subtract. 3x to the third minus 3x to the fifth minus 3x to the fifth. That goes to 0 here. And this is 0 minus 0 for the next one. 0 minus 0, so that's going to be 0. And then minus x squared, subtract the minus x squared, that goes to 0. And then we have 0 from x is x. 0 from minus 2 is minus 2. Notice the degree of the divisor now is 1. It's less than the degree of the remainder is 1. And it's less than degree 3 here for the divisor. So we can stop right there. The quotient is x squared, and the remainder is x minus 2. So we can write it that way depending on what they tell you. Quotient x squared, remainder x minus 2, or we can just say it's x squared plus the remainder, which is x minus 2, over the divisor, which is 3 x to the third minus 1. So like I said, this is the more formal way to give the answer. X squared plus x minus 2 over 3x cubed minus 1. Okay, for the next one, again, I have the dividend and descending powers. I had a x to the fourth term, x to the third. I didn't have a square term, so that's why I have a 0 there, and then it's an x term I did have, and the constant. And then we have a trinomial, so we're dividing by a trinomial. So same procedure. The first term of the dividend gets divided by the first term of the divisor. So 2 into 2x to the fourth. This is going to give me just the 2's will cancel, and x squared into x to the fourth will give me x squared. And then we multiply. So it's x squared. And let me put this over here. I ended up with the x squared term. So again, 2 divided into 2x squared divided into 2x to the fourth gives me x squared. Now I do the multiplication of the quotient here, partial quotient, times the divisor. So this will give me a 2x to the fourth here. And then I'll have an x squared times x. That'll give me a plus x to the third. Squared times 1 is x squared. And then we subtract. 2x to the fourth, subtract 2x to the fourth, goes to 0. Minus 3x to the third, subtract x cubed. That gives me a minus x cubed there. So that'll be a minus 4 x cubed. And then on the next one, I have 0 subtract 0x squared, subtract 1x squared, so it's be a minus x squared. And then I can just say 0 from x is x, 0 from 1 is 1, so just bring those down. And the degree of the remainder is still larger, so I can go again here. So I'm going to divide 2x squared into the first term here, the remainder. So it could be minus 2x. I'll put that over here. And then I multiply. So minus 2x times 2x to the second. This will give me a minus 4 x to the third. And minus 2x times x is a minus 2x squared. And a minus 2x times 1 is a minus 2x. So then we subtract here. So minus 4x cubed, subtract the minus 4x cubed, those cancel out. And then a minus x squared, subtract the minus 2x squared, this becomes a plus 2x squared. So I get an x squared here, positive x squared. Subtract the minus 2x gives me a plus 2x, so that'll be 2x and x is 3x. 0 from 1 is 1. And then we continue. We got degree 2 for the remainder, 2 for the divisor, so it's not less yet, so I'll go again. So 2 divides into x squared. The x squareds cancel out. And I get a plus 1/2 here. And then I multiply again the divisor by the 1/2. So 1/2 times 2x squared is x squared. 1/2 times x is a plus 1/2 x, or x over 2. 1/2 times 1 is 1/2. And then we subtract. So x squared subtract x squared, that cancels out. And then 3x subtract x over 2, that becomes a 3x and minus x over 2. So this will give me a 5/2 x. And then 1 subtract 1/2 plus 1/2. So we can say that the quotient for this problem is x squared minus 2x plus 1/2 with remainder of 5/2 x plus 1/2. Or I can just put a plus right here and say it's plus the remainder, which is 5/2 of x plus 1/2 over the divisor, which is 2x squared plus x plus 1. So again, the quotient x squared minus 2x plus 1/2 plus the remainder 5/2 x plus 1/2 over the divisor 2x squared plus x plus 1. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.